they're basically like an open question of Kingsley and a good left tackle away from being like, yeah, they're probably the best team in the AFC and like could absolutely win the Super Bowl. I think sometimes it's almost this mentality of like, oh my God, what are they going to do? And look, I'm saying like those are real questions.
Absolutely.
That could sink them. Like, I'm not arguing that, but I think there's this mentality of like, oh my God, here come the Chargers. And it's like, I got to tell you, I don't know that that's going to happen.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
It's that football show here on KC Sports Network. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Matt Verderame as we are starting our 2-show-a-week haul. And boy, howdy, do we have some things to talk about. Appreciate Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon, Holiday Distillery for making this show possible. Make sure to go check them out. Show them some love. They got some great stuff over there at Western Missouri. If you're not in the Kansas City Metroplex, you can also just find their stuff pretty much everywhere. They're pretty national in terms of their distribution, so go check them out. Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon is phenomenal. I got some right here. I keep it on my desk for days like these, Matt, because look, while a lot of people were probably sleeping, well, I would have liked to have been sleeping. See, look, perfect. The Chiefs made a move. And they trade Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears, which, like, might have a conversation about this later on. Chicago Bears, making some moves for interior offensive linemen. I'll give you my reaction to it. I did a breaking news team already. I'm excited to get Matt's reaction, but Chiefs trade Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears, 2026 4th round pick. Matt, thoughts?
I got a lot of thoughts, but let's start with
surface level. Let's go surface level here,
which is scary. I don't want to overheat. Surface level, like on one hand, I get it. Once they tag Smith and with the intention of doing a long-term deal, they weren't going to extend Thuney because they're not going to pay massive contracts out years down the road. Okay, fine. And I get there are people who howl about, the comp pick. That's not how that works. Like, if they go out and sign somebody, then that cancels out and whatever. So I think the value is good. I know they have to wait a year for the pick. I get all that. He's going to be 33 years old and he's a guard, and the Bears have to pay him. Like,
correct.
They got more for Joe Thuney than the Niners got for Deebo Samuel, and the Niners really $31 million in dead cap money. Okay, like, I don't think it's a bad trade in terms of the value that they got back, even though they got to wait 1 year. And by the way, they could still use that pick to move up this year if they wanted to. Like,
that is true. Yeah.
It gives them more options. Okay. And also next year's draft class is probably going to be better than this year's draft class. And so if you're the Chiefs, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a 4th next year, not this year. It's just like they did with Snead, right? Where they took a 3rd round pick the following year and not the year in the trade was made.
Exactly. Yep.
So I don't hate the value of it. I do think, though, that part of this trade was because they maybe don't have a ton of confidence of getting Trey Smith done in the next month or two. And that, to me, is bad business by the Chiefs. You've known for literally a calendar year, like, what this guy was going to cost.
Right.
And this continues a pattern of them just taking forever to get contracts done with meaningful players. The Snead thing, they were going to tag and trade him. Fine, that's one thing, okay? But this has been a pattern dating back to John Dorsey with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Eric Berry took forever. Justin Houston, it took forever. They had to tag him. They ended up spending $100 million on Justin Houston, okay?
Yeah.
Then you look at this current team, and there have been, the Chris Jones saga. That felt like it went on for a decade. And, like, at the end of it, as poorly as the Katz brothers played that thing, they won.
Yeah.
They won. In the end, they won. These contracts with them at times feel like they just go on and on and on. And like the Tyreek Hill thing. Like, now, look, it worked out for him.
It did. Yeah.
That took forever and ended up in him being traded. they are not proactive with their contracts. They're reactive. I think the front office has done a very good job over the years. I think Brett Veach is an absolutely exceptional GM. But if I have one nit to pick with them, it's that. Structure's usually good, pay's usually good, but they wait forever to get these things done. And I think in the case of Trey Smith, all signs point to this might be a springtime type of deal and not a March 10th type of deal. And now all of a sudden, because of that, you've got to open up all this money. And the Mahomes restructure is not going to be enough. So, which I also think, by the way, is absolutely coming. So, that's where I'm at with this. I understand it. I get it. I also think on some levels it's a mistake. It'd be in the sense of you are now on the left side of the line.
Right.
Mahomes is being fitted right now for a Michelin Man suit as we speak. Okay, like they have you and me on the left side currently. It is and I guess I'll finish with all this when we can get all this stuff. I will be shocked at this point, based on everything I know about the way they think and how they operate, if Kingsley Suamataia is not the left guard of this football team.
Right.
They have talked about it publicly that he's moving to guard. They watched him play tackle. I think that was enough. He is going to play guard. He is going to be their left guard, in my opinion. I would be shocked if he's not. And if it works out and he's good there, then this is a smart bet and it works out.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work and he's a train wreck and Mike Caliendo's playing the last 14 games of the season at left guard, you got a big problem. And one you're not just going to snap your fingers and fix. So I think very uncomfortably, a lot of 2025 and the offseason preceding it is going to be a big bet on Kingsley Suamataia at left guard and whoever the fuck is playing left tackle. That's the gamble.
I think you saying they have you and I out there left tackle is almost disrespectful to you and I.
That honestly might be accurate, yeah.
Here's where I kind of land on this, man. I think we kind of land in a similar camp here, where it's like the Chiefs undoubtedly got worse today on the offensive line. Undoubtedly got worse.
Yes, clearly.
And it's hard, and you and I had this conversation about Trey Smith. It's like it's hard to like tell yourself, oh yeah, we're gonna boost up and bolster the offensive line when you are gonna let Trey Smith walk or you trade Joe Thuney. Like those are hard things to tell yourself. And like, oh yeah, no, but we're getting better on the offensive line. That's a hard thing to tell yourself. But also on the other hand, Matt, I totally I get why they trade him. Like you can't pay $50 million to 3 interior offensive linemen. That cap hit is really high, or was really high. They have to take on $10 million of dead money too. Like it's not a clean, straight trade for the Bears to take on $26.9 million of Joe Thuney's contract. Chiefs have to take on $10 million of it, so he's getting 16 over in Chicago. So I understand that part of it. I understand also that he's 32. They get a decade younger at the left guard position with it is Kingsley Suamataia out there at left guard. And look, you talked about this, you tweeted about it, you just mentioned like the team is pretty. They like him at left guard. They do. They've been playing him at left guard. But when I talked to Andy Heck at the Super Bowl, I just kind of asked him. I was like, his philosophy is about cross training these young guys to play kind of all positions on the offensive line. And specifically, I asked him with like Kingsley. I was like, how's that going? And he said, obviously, he was impressed with him. He's not going to say like, no, he's dog shit.
Make sure you don't focus on one position at a time. Just going to toss that out there as a thought. Because I got to tell you, I think that would have been beneficial at the beginning of last season.
You make a good point. Maybe that would have been helpful.
Yeah. I do think drafting a shooting guard in the NBA. They're like, how about you learn how to play center? How about you learn how to just play shooting guard? How about that? We'll let the centers play center.
Yeah. I that's fair. And I understand like the versatility on the offensive line. I get that. We had some comments come up during the live show when we were kind of live reacting to it. It was like, okay, if they like Kingsley at guard so much, how come they didn't play him there when Mike Caliendo was playing guard there? And I think it's a very fair question to ask yourself. It's going to be really interesting to see how this offensive line looks in 2025. Here's the thing, Matt. I think you and I have done a good job of this even last week, preparing people of like, hey, might not be awesome. It might not be a great offensive line next year. Go ahead and prepare yourself for that because you're looking at the left tackle market, not a good one. You're looking at the left tackle draft class, not a good one.
Yep.
You're looking at the in-house options, not a good one. So you're staring down the barrel of another left tackle that you feel uneasy about every time Patrick Mahomes drops back. BJ Kissel said this on the Breaking News team. They're in tackle purgatory. They're in left tackle purgatory right now. And that kind of feels indicative of how this offseason is going to go with how they've handled the offensive line so far because, boy, howdy, it's not been phenomenal.
This feels like I don't know if you've ever thought about this. Maybe we have. Are you a fan of The Office?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if people out there who are unfamiliar with this, it's a ridiculous show, but it's funny. And there's one scene that's somewhat famous where it's Andy Bernard, Pam, and Michael Scott, and they're in the conference room, and they're all pointing like finger guns at each other because they're playing this game of like who done it.
Yep.
I feel like that's Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City in the AFC this year, where it's just like we can't block anybody. Well, that's cool because we're Buffalo and we don't have any pass rush. And then Baltimore's like, we just crap our pants in January. Like, let's see who wins out. Like, I feel like that's the entire AFC. Like, it's just finger guns at everybody. I'm like, who's going to be a bigger disaster? And like last year, the Chiefs were like, we win, we won, we got there. Like Buffalo took out Baltimore, and we ended up beating Buffalo, and we win. But who knows? Who knows?
Did you see what Deion Dawkins said? By the way, it's off topic, but he was like, we would have put on a better show in the Super Bowl. What an idiot!
I wrote out like 5 tweets, and then realized I'm a professional. I can't do that. That is.
I wanted to call him a dipshit, but I didn't.
That is just. Look, man, I got nothing against Deion Dawkins. He's a great player, but like
he's phenomenal. I would love him if he was
let the kids come on over, yes, right? Yeah. Right. But like, what are you? It's such an embarrassing commentary. Like, I'll tell you what, if we had beat that team that we never beat, we'd have played better. It's like, bro, first of all, you were getting rolled in that game. Okay.
Yes.
The Eagles were on God mode for 60 straight minutes. You think Kyer Elam was going to hold up in coverage in that game? Good luck. Okay. Secondly, this idea that the Bills, who couldn't stop the Chiefs, who have like one meaningful weapon on the field, like you were going to win that game in Philadelphia? Yeah, sure you were. Good luck to you. Giving up 180 a clip on the ground. I'm sure the Eagles would have really just struggled to move the ball against Buffalo. I'm sure it's how that would have played out. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's nice. Call me when you get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Call me when the franchise you play for wins anything at all. By the way, as we're doing this, Sam Hubbard has retired from the Bengals.
I did see that. Did you also see that NASCAR suing Michael Jordan?
The what?
Yeah, I just saw that notification come across. I think that was from The Athletic. Yeah.
Doing what?
NASCAR is suing Michael Jordan.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Shout out Sam Hubbard, though.
There's a lot going on.
And Gardner Minshew got cut.
There's a lot going on Wednesday morning. Also, Mike Brown put out a statement that I'm pretty sure he typed out on notes. So that's good. All right. Look, back to Thuney. Here's the deal to the Chiefs. All right. We can talk all day long, and God knows Twitter will talk all day long about the team and the spot they're in. Let's just zoom out for a minute and talk about the actual spot this team's in, and not like this like weird pseudo spot that people if they had won the Super Bowl, right, people would talk about them so unbelievably differently than the fact they lost the Super Bowl, even though it's the same damn team moving forward. Like, yeah. And I get that it's a results-based business. All right, I'm fine with that. But this is a team trying to go to its 4th straight Super Bowl here, and they've won 2 of them. Like, they're a dynasty. It's okay to be realistic about what's going on. They have, on defense, they have, 4 meaningful free agents? Wharton, Amenahu, Reed, Bolton. Okay? 4 meaningful guys. On offense, like, it's Kareem Hunt and Hollywood Brown and, like, DJ Humphries. All right? So, okay. No big names on offense in terms of the money it's going to cost you. Defensively, look, I think Amenahu gets a medium contract. I think Wharton gets a decent contract, nothing crazy. Bolton, God only knows. Bolton could end up being paid like Roquan Smith. He could end up being paid like a 4th-round rookie. I don't know. It seems like anything's in play for Nick Bolton. And then Justin Reed, I think, probably gets like a pretty solid deal. All right.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs now are about even in cap space after this trade with Thuney. They're about right at the threshold. They're going to restructure Patrick Mahomes. They can get up to $38 million out of it. The question becomes, do they do that, or do they get like $20 million, $25 million? They can move money around Kelsey if they want. They could add a void year. They could move Jones's money around. Like, there's different ways you can create cap space. But the bottom line is they're going to have some going into this year. The question becomes for this team, what are they doing with their in-house free agents? Because Reed is replaceable, but like also is probably the best safety they have.
Mhm.
Bolton, I would let walk. I just would at this point. Ameno, I'd probably let him walk, and I just go draft an edge, and or maybe go out and sign like a 1-year deal for some guy who can come in and play. I like Wharton. I know the D tackle class is loaded. I'm going to cut against the grain. I'd pay to Sean Wharton as long as it's not crazy. But if it's like 2 and like 16 or something, I'd give it to him. Offensively, I'd let Hunt walk. I would, I'd move off him and get younger with a back there, probably in the draft. But here's the crux of this. Like, no matter how you slice it, they're still a really, really good football team.
Yeah.
But now they've got this hole on the left side of the line. Suamati is going to be the guard.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to figure out, no matter how they do it, they got to figure out left tackle. Because the rest of this stuff, look, we can sit here and talk all day long, but like, let's say their defense next year. Let's say their defense in the nickel, since that's basically how you play anyway, is going to be Karlaftis and Dana / a rookie on one side, Jones and Wharton inside, Chenal and Tranquil linebacker, Watson and McDuffie at corner with Hicks and Cook at safety. And then at the other corner spot, let's say they either draft a guy or maybe they sign a free agent and it allows McDuffie to kick inside. Okay, that defense is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, that's still, now look, some of it hinges on that one edge. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a good defense. Like, that's still a good defense. And offensively, put aside the left side of the line for a minute. Humphrey, Smith, Taylor. I get it with Taylor, but they've won a Super Bowl at that side of the line. Like,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You've got Mahomes. You're probably going to be more explosive at running back. Pacheco should be healthier too. That'll help. Same tight ends. You are adding Rashee Rice, and you have Xavier Worthy now in his second year. Okay, this is basically like, who's your third receiver, which might be Hollywood. And then it's going to be like, can Kingsley Suamataia not kill Mahomes as the left guard? And who's the left tackle? The point is, they're basically like an open question of Kingsley and a good left tackle away from being like, yeah, they're probably the best team in the AFC. And like, could absolutely win the Super Bowl. I think sometimes it's almost this mentality of like, oh my God, what are they going to do? And look, I'm saying, like, those are real questions.
Absolutely.
That could sink them. Like, I'm not arguing that, but I think there's this mentality of like, oh my God, here come the Chargers. And it's like, I got to tell you, I don't know that that's going to happen. Like, I still think the Chiefs, if they had average left tackle play, and Suamataia is just capable. It's not great, but he's just, hey, he's fine. He's fine. Like, if that's what you get, and Rice is healthy, you're probably a Super Bowl team. Like, you're probably winning 14 games again. So,
Right.
I think that's got to be factored in a little more than maybe people want to factor it in their quest panicked in no end.
I think when you start to look at something so closely, you start to see a little bit more imperfections, right? And so I think that like fans and like us, because we spend a lot of time just like dissecting this team, and so we're just like, oh my gosh, this team sucks. And I think that's a good perspective to have, Matt. That you gave us there. But I mean, if you just spend so much time looking at something, you're going to notice something wrong with it.
I also just like I feel like this team is literally one of the most five most successful teams in NFL history.
Yeah.
And I get it. They got punked in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I had this. I was there. I covered it. I was in the locker room after the game. I get it. Okay. I was there to hear the absolute dead silence in that room. I talked to Joe Thuney after the game, like just he and I sitting there on a stool. Basically, he was on a stool, wasn't in front for the both of us, but they were sitting on a stool, just talking. I get it, I totally get it. But like, would you rather be Kansas City or Baltimore right now?
Mm.
And there's be a lot of people go, I'd rather be Baltimore. That's cool. You go be Baltimore. Let me know how that's working out. Like, I'd rather be the team that has Mahomes and Andy Reid and a defense that, even with some losses, is probably still going to be a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
And, the other side of this, too, the last time we all sat here and did this, people go back to the Tampa Super Bowl, but that's a bold-faced lie. It's a bold-faced lie, and I'm here to correct it. Okay? That Tampa Super Bowl, the offensive line got overhauled.
Yeah.
But that team did not get overhauled.
True.
The team got overhauled after they lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They have not failed to go to the Super Bowl since that game. They went out, and people always remember that as like, oh, the Tyreek Hill trade. Yes. Yes. You know what else happened that offseason? Tyrann Mathieu walked out the door, and Charvarius Ward walked out the door.
Yep.
They were picked to finish last in the division by some people. There were people, real breathing human beings, who looked at the Chiefs and went, I don't know. Raiders got Devontae. Broncos are cooking with Russ. I don't even remember what the fuck the Chargers did. But oh my God, I forget J.C. Jackson, of course.
Yes.
Like, how could anybody think that the Chiefs are going to beat out those teams? The Chiefs ended up winning that division by like 5 games. Okay. And just blew through the AFC playoffs and won the Super Bowl. That's the last time they did something like this. And guess what? A lot of this year is going to hinge on what happened that year. They knocked the draft class out of the park.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they got to do it to that extent again, because they basically had to rebuild their entire defense that year. But yeah, they've got a first, a second, 2 thirds, and a fourth. And out of those, they got to find 2 to 3 guys who can really play. Like, not even like McDuffie play. Like that, you're not going to find that guy too often. But like, like, you got to find, can you find in this draft between those 5 picks, can you find the combination of like a Jaden Hicks, a George Karlaftis, and a, I don't know, like, is it too much to ask like for like a Trey Smith or a Rasheed Rice? Like, like basically one Pro Bowl level player, one really good player, and one, and Hicks might be more than this, but for the time being, like one like good serviceable starter.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're probably really damn good. Like, plus whoever the hell you sign a free agency and all that. So I know I'm not fitting the bill right now. I'm supposed to be screaming that, they need to fire Veach and the sky's fire. I got it. I know what the kingdom needs, but like, I'm here to be honest.
No, I appreciate it. Just looking at their draft classes, they don't need, what you're saying is they don't need a 2022 draft class. They need more, maybe like a 2021 draft class where you find Bolden and Humphrey, and then you also have Noah Gray in there, and you stumble into a Trey Smith in the 6th round.
Yeah. I just think sometimes, look, the most uncomfortable thing in life is the unknown. It is always the unknown, right? Like, when you're, if you got like a medical thing going on, I mean, obviously you don't want to find out like some absolute horrific thing, but like, it's usually like not as bad as you think. You're like, oh God, like, why am I having heart palpitations? It's like, well, because I ate chili. That's why, like, but like, there's like the unknown is the word, or like if you put in an offer on a house and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, you're like, fuck, man, I get the house and I that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get the house, like, all right, or like if you're like in a long-term relationship and like, a breakup's coming, not that I speak from experience on this, and like, it's coming. The expectation of it coming is worse than the actual breakup. And the point of all that is to say, with the Chiefs, there's uncertainty with Kingsley Suamataia. You don't know what he's going to be.
Right.
Left tackle, they can announce that like BJ Kissel's going to play left tackle. That might happen here at some point. If that were the case, we should have gotten more of the cookie skillets at Prime. But that's
Sure.
Okay.
Cooked skillets, man. Holy cow.
Yeah, they were fantastic. You don't have certainty with these defensive free agents. And right now, it's the worst it's going to feel because you're like, oh my God, they have no, like, I think people almost picture them going into a game like today, like they have the left side of the line. They're blocking with 3 men. Like, what are they going to do? It's like, no, like they're going to have Kingsley at left guard, and that may be a disaster, or it might be fine. They're going to have a left tackle. We just don't know who that guy is yet. I know Nate Taylor of The Athletic, in case you send, and all that. And a man who hung out with us in Indianapolis and probably regretted that decision. Like, he was on the radio essentially saying, I'm paraphrasing, I don't want to speak for Nate, but was alluding to the fact that the Chiefs are really interested in Ronnie Stanley.
Yep.
Now, listen, I have been consistent on every platform that I'm on, which at this point, I think I'm really wearing out my welcome. I have a lot of issue with them signing Ronnie Stanley. He's 31 and he gets hurt a lot.
Yep.
Here's the flip side of that. If they sign him and that guy's healthy, he is by a mile the best left tackle this team has had since like Willie Roaf. Okay? He is. So, at bare minimum since Fisher, but he's better than Eric Fisher. So,
right, yeah.
You know, like, let's live in a world where they sign Ronnie Stanley. So live in that world for a minute. Okay. I mean, there's a world where you're better up front at that point. But, look, there's also a world where Wanye's starting next to Kingsley for 10 games. The unknown. Scary. Scary, scary, scary.
It is scary. Ronnie Stanley, looking at the Spot Track market value that they have on him now, again, like these are all just estimations, but that's a $20.7 million estimation that they have for Ronnie Stanley. Which
what did they estimate? 27?
20.7 million.
Oh, should say 27.
20.7.
Wow. These are really all in. All right.
So they're estimating a 2-year, $41 million deal, 41.3. So that's what that would kind of look like, and you could obviously move that around so the cap hit this year wouldn't be as high. But like the other option is like Cam Robinson, and he's not as good as Ronnie Stanley is when healthy. Tyron Smith. I mean, like again, we're back in the point of just like, brother, like we find ourselves talking in circles about this offensive line, I think, when it comes to left tackle specifically. But all right, Matt, let's take a break. Let's talk about Trey Smith after the break, because I do think the franchise tag is pending deal and everything. But also around the NFL, only 2 franchise tags were placed with Trey Smith and T. Higgins, the lowest number in some time that the franchise tag has been used. Let's talk about that. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story. Like Bryan Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Bryan Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Welcome back into That Football Show here on KC Sports Network. Let's talk about the franchise tag, because as I mentioned before the break, 2 players got the franchise tag. I believe it's been 6 for like the last 4 years. Like, the franchise tag has been getting used this year, not really getting used in 2 very different situations and circumstances too with the franchise tag. T. Higgins getting his 2nd straight franchise tag. The Trey Smith franchise tag is a very different usage of it, I feel like, than what the T. Higgins usage of the franchise tag is. Let's start on the Trey Smith side of things. As you already talked about, you already mentioned, like, the Chiefs do anticipate to get a deal done. When that deal's going to happen, we'll see. But the Chiefs placed the tag on it because they do think that they anticipate to get the deal done. They really need it to happen sooner rather than later, but we'll see.
I wouldn't be sitting there holding your breath waiting for a notification that they're going to sign Trey Smith tomorrow.
I shouldn't keep the breaking news team jacket out. I shouldn't keep the blazer out. I go ahead and put it back in the closet.
Oh, I think you got time to dry clean it.
Okay.
I think it's probably more going to be now like a lot of tag contracts in like the springtime. Because I think they now can just restructure Mahomes and there's no real rush to do it. I said earlier, I think they could have just done it and gotten it out of the way, and then they wouldn't have had this problem. Although they might still have traded Thuney because they might have just said, well, we're not going to extend him and,
true
value. So, like, fair enough. Fine.
Yeah.
But no, I think, look, they're going to sign him long term. It's really just a matter of when. And my guess is in the spring. Like with T. Higgins, I have no idea if the Bengals are going to actually sign him. Okay. The Bengals got on. The Chiefs are going to sign Trey Smith.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how they structure it or anything else. They're going to sign him. T. Higgins, the other tagged player, God only knows. I mean, I can see the Bengals being like, hey, we'll give you 4-1. Excuse me. We'll give you 4-120, but we're not guaranteeing a cent more than the tag.
Right.
Like,
which is 26.2, by the way. 26.2 million for that.
Yes. That and for the record, that is literally what they did when they tagged Jesse Bates. They offered Jesse Bates a 5-year contract at top of the market money annually, but we're like, we will not guarantee a cent other than the franchise tag.
Awesome. Great business.
I can't even imagine being the agent getting that phone call. Like, wait a minute, what? Like, you mean like this year or like over the whole contract? No, the whole contract. Yeah, that's nice. He'll be leaving Cincinnati in the year.
Yeah. The franchise tag, I know, is a mechanism that was put in place to help owners, and which in a weird sense, I think the franchise tag helped Trey Smith in this regard. But like, it obviously did not help T. Higgins in the way that they've been using, in the way the Bengals have been using the franchise tag. And usually, players don't like to get franchise tag. I thought Chase Daniel did a really good video on this on the social media. They don't like to get the franchise tag because they're not getting paid. Like, this is just like your base salary for your game checks. That's where this comes from. This is where the franchise tag is just your game checks. You don't get any of that guaranteed until you play football games. And a lot of times with these contracts, they come with signing bonuses. You get a check right then where you can go cash a $20 million check. I don't know if people actually do that, but you direct deposited $20 million into your account because you signed a nice little piece of paper, so you get $20 million. That's pretty sick that you get to kind of have that right away. Not very sick that you don't get to that you have to wait until you play football games before you get to even see any of this money. Also, it prevents players from hitting the free agent market like T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins probably could have got paid a pretty penny last couple of years with if he was able to hit the free agent market. Trey Smith, we know that there was teams interested in Trey Smith that your usual suspects. Now, Matt, I find this interesting that the Chicago Bears were a team that were heavily linked with Trey Smith.
Yep.
And in the past 24 hours since we've recorded this or at the time of recording this podcast, the Bears made 2 interior lineman trades. Yeah. So they have realized, all right, the ship has sailed on Trey Smith. The ship is gone. We can no longer get on that boat. We need to find another boat to get on. And I think that is a positive sign if you're a Chiefs fan, if you're looking at this, that the biggest contender for Trey Smith was like, okay, let's go get 2 other guards besides Trey Smith.
I appreciate that the Bears, and I genuinely mean this, although it's going to sound like I'm a backhanded compliment, but it's not intended to be. I appreciate that the Bears have treated finding guards like speed dating for a wife.
Yeah.
Just like, look, doesn't matter who it is, anybody.
Come on.
Just listen.
Did you play last year?
I don't rely on one, but Delilah's marrying elsewhere. Bring in Judy and Sandy. Bring them in. Just fine. It's all fine. Like, we'll do whatever we need to do. We'd prefer not to give up a couple of picks, but we're going to do what we got to do. Like, I actually respect it. Instead of sitting there like most teams would have done and just, couldn't figure it out, couldn't do it. What are we supposed to do? Guess we got to sign Alex Kappa. Like, I give the Bears credit for being like, nope, screw it. We're going to trade 2 day 3 picks. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get Jonah Jackson and we're going to get Joe Thuney. Pretty good bit of business for the Bears. Do a hell of a lot worse. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of this is because Ben Johnson, when you think about the Lions, one of the first things you think about if you know football is that offensive line.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson needs a great offensive line to play offense the way he wants to play. Well, he's trying to build that right now. And I give them credit. I give them credit for not just sitting on their ass and bemoaning the fact they can't get Trey Smith and giving out some $3 million contract to some guy who can't play anymore. And then try to slap some lipstick on and go, well, what are you going to do? Hey, best thing we could do here. I give them credit for actually going out
100%
and getting real guys. So if you're the Bears, good on you. You got 2 real guards, one that might end up in the Hall of Fame, and you gave up a 4th and a 6th. All right, fine. Pretty sure last year the Bears used their 4th round pick on a punter. So yeah, I mean, you could do worse.
They did. I forgot about that.
He got a lot of work, to be fair.
Which Caleb Williams texted that punter and was like, yeah, you're not going to punt a whole lot.
Yeah, as it turns out.
We're going to warm up that leg, buddy. Get it loose. So here's probably the conversation for the Chicago Bears side of things too, because obviously we talk about more than just more than the Chiefs here. We talk about the whole league with the Chiefs slant. I do think that, as you mentioned, you got to give major props to the Chicago Bears for going and fixing their offensive line. When I initially saw that it was Thuney for the Bears, I was like, wait, the Bears just traded the Rams a 6th round pick for a guy that they didn't really play last year. And they're taking on all of his salary. I was like, what did the Chiefs get? Did Brett Veach just swindle Ryan Poles? Here we go. I was like, are they going to overpay again for an interior offensive lineman? And while I do, I think we mentioned already on the podcast, I don't hate the value that they got from Joe Thuney. It's a lot better than cutting him, right? They're letting him walk and not getting anything in return. It's better than nothing. I do think that the Bears saw a problem. They saw a need. They went out. They fixed it. Shout out to the Bears for getting that done. And they look a whole lot different in this past 24 hours than they did the previous 24 hours. Yeah, Joe Thuney on the Bears is going to look super weird aesthetically. But we'll see how the Bears team is. I don't know how I feel how the Bears will be next year in terms of just as a football team.
Until otherwise proven to the Bears. Okay.
Yeah.
But look, I think if you're just trying to look at this whole deal, the Bears had to fix their offensive line so they get better. The Chiefs, once they tagged Smith, they weren't going to extend Thuney. I don't blame the Chiefs for trading him and getting the value they got for him. The problem for the Chiefs now is, as we've talked about, and we don't have to go over and over infinitum, but who the hell is your left tackle?
Right.
Maybe Brett Veach can take a page out of Ryan Poles' book and just call everyone demanding that they trade with him until finally someone does it.
Yeah.
Maybe you just call up the Lions three times a day and you're like, hey, Penny Sewell. And you just keep doing it until the Lions are fine, Penny Sewell, fine, whatever. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think you make every call you can make. I think you do everything you can possibly do. You turn on. Also, seriously right now, actually, here, before I say this, because I don't want to be an asshole, let me actually look up cat number because I could be dead wrong on this. And then if I am, we can make fun of me. So, yeah, here, I'll give you one. I'll give you one right now.
Give it to me.
I'd call the Niners about Trent Williams. They wanted him so damn bad years ago. I get he's 37. He still might be the best left tackle in football. You know what his base salary is this year?
Oh, I don't. What is it?
$1.2 million.
Yeah, that'll be okay.
I mean, and after this year, he signed for one more, and his cap number for the Chiefs would be $22.2 million. But there's no guaranteed money. They could just cut him.
Yeah.
If I'm the Chiefs, the Niners are having an all-sales final situation going on over there, okay? They're the oldest team in football. They just traded Debo on a $31 million. They would trade Brandon Ayuk for a ham sandwich currently. Like, look, they are open for business, which I'm sure Brock Purdy's thrilled about right now. It's like, Brock, the good news is we can pay you. The bad news is you're playing on the Jags. Like, I'll tell you right now, man, I'd call them up and be like, how's the 4th round pick sound for Trent Williams?
Yeah.
I'd give him a 4th round pick for Trent Williams.
How about a 2026 4th?
How's that sound? Via Chicago. Okay. Like, honestly, if I were the Chiefs, I would call them up and be like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Make him say no. Maybe the Niners are in a spot mentally where they're like, you know what? Aaron Banks is a free agent. Their left guard. Might lose him.
Yep.
The rest of that line is not good. Ayuk is on the block. They traded Debo. Kittle, he's got to at least be 30, right? He's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
He is 32. And this is the last year of his contract.
Damn, is he really? I didn't think he was...
That team is in for what the kids call a big-time rebuild, okay? If I'm the Chiefs, I would call John Lynch and be like, hey, John, 4th rounder for Trent Williams. I got to tell you, if I were the Niners, I'd really think about it. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the maybe he's like, well, I want your 3rd, and I probably wouldn't give him a 3rd, but I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
He's 37 years old. It's year to year. It's basically 2 one-year contracts. Here's a 4th round pick. Because I got to tell you, if Kingsley Suamati is wedged between Trent Williams and Creed Humphrey, and he can't play well, I give up. Like, I would go out and be like, here it is, Trent Williams. I mean, I don't know that they'll do that. And they, to be fair to them, might say, hey, look, instead of a 1-year deal, we need to find the guy long term. That's fine. I would rather give up a 4th and have Trent Williams than sign Donovan Smith. I'm sorry. Yes, you had the 4th round pick. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I don't hate that at all. The only thing I think the hiccup would be for the Chiefs would be the age side of things, because they did get vastly younger on their offensive line overall with the trading of Joe Thuney, obviously with him being 32 years old. I'm pretty sure Kingsley just turned 22, so Kingsley was a pretty young coming out, shockingly, from BYU. Young guy from BYU, that's like an anomaly in itself. But I do think that the age would be the hiccup there. But then again, you talk about Ronnie Stanley, that's an age thing. Like, you talk about like any of these guys that are out there that you're going to try to get who are going to be serviceable or like you feel comfortable with. You talked about like the unknown is like what's the most uncomfortable. If you want to be comfortable, you're going to have to deal with some age. And like, that's just going to have to be the issue there. I don't know if you saw this come across the timeline. Mason Crosby is going to retire.
Yeah, I didn't bother to mention it.
Been an eventful Wednesday morning.
There's a lot going on.
What is happening? The League of New Year's out for another week, and we're getting all kinds of stuff going on.
So, and then like, I also appreciate this tweet from an hour ago. Just, I don't know. Just toss this out there from Pro Football Talk.
Yes. Oh, good. Let's go.
I love the admonishment of the entire media. Some have praised CeeDee Lamb for restructuring his contract to create more than $20 million in cap space for the Cowboys. That's not how it works. Lamb's deal from last year gave the Cowboys the absolute right to do it, and the move cost him nothing. How dare you give CeeDee Lamb any credit? That is an affront not only to the game, but to the Lord.
Right.
How are you this upset about this? Like, who cares? Like, what does it matter? Like, yes, for anyone who's curious about this, you can restructure a player's contract without their permission. Okay?
Yeah, 100%.
And players are happy to do it because it guarantees the money that you're restructuring. So, like, they're happy about that. Yeah. But to just go great guns after CeeDee Lamb, no, nobody gives him an ounce of credit for this. Like, it's Wednesday at like 9 a.m. in some time zones.
Yeah.
It's okay. Give him a little credit. Who the hell cares? Like, holy shit.
But if that isn't just Mike Florio and Pro Football Talk in a nutshell, though, of just like taking the most minuscule thing that matters and just being so upset about it.
I'm just going to say it. There was almost a fight at the Starbucks in Indy
There was.
between two insiders. If you had told me before Indianapolis,
Ooh.
who are those insiders? Florio would have been like 1,000, or it would have been like minus 1,000 that Florio was one of them, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, the fact he's not, huge upset.
It is. Gosh, that story was the best thing that's ever happened, I think, at the Combine in the history of the Combine. And then the picture to come out afterwards of just like little Ian standing there. Tall Jordan is funny.
The best part afterwards was just, I know Jeremy Fowler, and we just sat there and talked about it, and Jeremy was like the one who's there, and I had to talk to NFL security. It's amazing. The fact that Rapport called NFL security is just
hilarious. Also,
how do you look somebody in the eye? I'm sorry.
This is what I've been trying to figure out ever since it happened.
Come on.
How do you call security? Does he have a number? Did he just yell out security like a middle-aged white woman in the mall? Like what how do you do that? How do you call for security? Like that's what I've been trying to figure out. I cannot get to the bottom of how you call security.
I don't know. That's a great question. And a bigger question now that I think about it is like, it wasn't like hotel security. It was NFL.
There's NFL security. He doesn't have people following him around, does he?
I was just going to say, which then begs the question, like, does he have a number predisposed to him? Like in case, like, you know, his groupies catch up to him in Midtown?
There's a lot of places we can go with this, right? Like, and I do think that like we probably should go with it. And
oh, it's fantastic.
I've been trying to figure that out. How does one call for security? Were they just standing? There's no way they were just standing outside the JW Marriott.
Also, I love the picture that's made. It's rounds. Like, it's the most non-threatening picture of all time. Like, Jordan Schultz looks like he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And like,
he got his hand on his hips.
Yeah, it is the most insider almost fight you could possibly have. You know,
that's as close as we're getting to a fight in this industry.
I'm so disappointed in everybody involved.
A sparring of words.
It would have been so much better if somebody had just gone off the deep end and thrown a huge haymaker.
I think a tackle would have been pretty good. Just like bring him down to the ground. Just a good.
Just right through a table.
Yeah, good takedown.
Schultz has got to call his dad up, get the table replaced. Dad, listen, one of your tables broken, Indy.
So, like, that's also another incredible layer that gets added to this. I don't think we've had a podcast since, like, this all developed, because we did a podcast, remember, when it happened.
Yes, the source off was developing while we were on air.
While we were recording, that happened. I don't think we've done a podcast since then, so forgive us for rehashing this again. But, like, I hope you guys are okay with this, because we've given you 45 minutes of good football talk.
Right. That portion of the show is over now, folks. So
yeah. Sorry, the good football talk shows is now over. Now this is going to be that football insider fighting show. The layer that it happened at a Starbucks and Jordan Schultz's dad is the CEO of Starbucks. It makes it so much better. Like that's what makes it so good. And I had tweeted out on. This is after a couple of libations at the High Velocity.
Fair.
I tweeted at Rappaport. I said, I got a great idea. You got to get to High Velocity right now. I got to share it with you. And then I tweeted at him. I was like, you got to become a Dunkin' Donuts spokesperson now. Like, you've got to be, because Dunkin' Donuts does like all the celebrity stuff,
like
right?
Back at Starbucks.
Yeah. You got to be like, I'm a big Dunkin' Donut. Dunkin' Donuts is my favorite. That's how you go. Like, that's the next step. And he did, like, he said something on the Rapport or on the McAfee show. So it only begs to, I can only draw the assumption that he read my tweets.
Listen, I'm all for any of it. Like our big insider at Sports Illustrated got Albert Breer. Hey, Breer played D end in high school.
That's a great point. He's big dude. He's good size. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I don't want to toot my own horn. I feel like SI can handle itself at a bar.
I think so.
I
think if we're talking about like groups of like people, I think ESPN would probably be there. Like they'd hold their own. But like SI, I mean, you guys got some good size.
We got size.
He has size.
And we've also got in both of our cases, both from the Northeast, just built-in rage. So
scrappy.
Yeah, just an immediate brawl at any moment, ready to come to fruition. Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't think Team SI is worried about Team NFL Network.
No, look. Here's a little inside baseball.
Nothing against him, but he's the size difference matters there. And then Pelissero, the hair is impeccably coiffed. I'll tell you who's quietly I'm worried about those Garofalo.
Yeah, he could be scrappy.
Northeastern, Italian, no hair to worry about. I get you, Mike. Like, he might jump in there and have some tricks of the trade ready to go.
Siciliano's really short too. He's kind of a tiny dude.
I like Andrew, but he is a more diminutive figure. It is true. Yahoo would be interesting. You got Nate Tice, Charles McDonald, Charles Robinson.
Yeah.
Or actually the Titans right there.
Yeah, Tice is a big dude. Like I don't know.
Tice is a good dude, great guy, but like
phenomenal. Love Nate Tice. He's been on the network.
Sort of nice. So you got to factor that, but like also like comes from a football family. Like,
yeah, a lot of football running through that.
Yeah, like that mentality is built in. I think the lesson is SI and Yahoo have to join forces if a brawl breaks out at the bar, and in which case I think we can handle.
You see the bird back.
Yeah, at that point we're ready. Yeah. No, man. Bottom line is, I would have paid good money to be in that Starbucks if an actual fist fight had broken out.
Yeah, it's too bad that there wasn't an actual fist fight. But yeah,
I would have put any amount of money down that Florio was involved. Like,
oh yeah,
just him like needling somebody and then somebody being like, "You think you're better than me?" And then just like it's a huge brawl breaking. Who would be? All right, let's.
Oh,
what's going on?
I just saw a Pro Football Talk tweet. It's ridiculous. It's about the World Cup, so we can hit that on our way out. I wanna hit on it.
Not even about the sport.
No,
I'll tell you what else I think about Oprah's show. It's like, thanks, Mike. Thanks for calling me in. What would be if you could pick any insider in the league? What would be the most hilarious fight possible?
I think it'd be Schefter Rappaport, right?
I agree.
It'd be Schefter Rappaport.
It has to be. Yeah.
I feel like
Schefter's got size on him though.
He does. But Schefter himself is not very big, but he does have size.
He's not tall, but he's got like that fire hydrant built to him.
Yeah. He does. I'm about to say, I feel like I'm about the same height as Schefter. In the one time that I talked to him, but he was still down 5'7", 5'8".
Probably about right
now. 5'8" on a good day. Wearing the right shoes. We're probably pretty similar in height, but the one time I talked to him, he was sitting down, so I couldn't really get a good gauge. But yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the headliner, right? Like I think that's the headline fight. Like that's the one that you put on the card for people to buy.
Would be amazing.
Yeah,
would be awesome. Like what we really need to do is we really need to get some of the national guys. We all need to step up as a group here. I'll talk to Breer. We need to get together as a collective and raise some money for charity. Like,
ooh, that's a good way to
say it. Rappaport can be like the, like they can be the main event. And then let's get some undercards. Look, I'm willing. Like, and I'm not saying like bare knuckle brawl here. Like, we can be civilized gentlemen about this, not like a boxing match.
Right.
But like, let those two guys duke it out. I'm about the same size as Schultz, I think. So like, look, and Jordan and I get along. So there's no animosity there. But like, all right, for charity, for a good cause, I'm willing to step into the ring. And then I don't know, I don't want to throw Breer in there just without asking him. But
right,
throw Breer and Florio in there. Like let's get a nice little undercard going. Yeah. Maybe get like a little Yahoo on Yahoo crime. Get like Tyson McDonald in there.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, just get it going. I mean, and then hell, maybe even have like, I don't want to go too far off the rails here, but like, I'm trying to think of people I'm not thinking about. Maybe you have like a former players, like analyst brawl, like you have like Orlovsky and McAfee or something, like just,
Ocho, throw Ocho in there, Chase Daniel.
Yeah, like old man strength. Like I want like Riddick and Shannon Sharp, just
Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson. Yeah,
amazing, unbelievable. I'll tell you what, Howie Long, despite being like 60, terrifying.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, oh yeah, he's still like is in good shape. Yeah.
Dude, he's insane. So yeah, like you just there we go, right? Like, and they do it all for charity. All for charity,
Up for the kids.
Yeah, what the hell?
This tweet from Pro Football Talk.
Yeah, let's end on this. What do you got?
For the first time ever, the FIFA World Cup final to be played at MetLife Stadium will have a halftime show with a list of artists curated by Coldplay.
Well, I'll tell you. Thank God that news got out. Because I don't know what else I would have done.
A curated Coldplay halftime show might be
the worst thing that's ever happened.
the worst thing that's happened to the World Cup.
Yeah, can't wait for right in the middle of like Germany, Brazil, to fix you to just start blasting out to 80,000 New Yorkers who are going to go to hell. Like, we got you here. I'll give you a great. So this isn't Coldplay, but I saw Green Day at like the zenith of their powers in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
my sister is a massive Green Day fan.
Yeah,
part of the fan club, the whole deal. So at the time, oh my God, I must have been I don't know, in college, like 21, 22. She was like 18. So we went together. We went down to the Garden, and we literally, I wish there was video of this because people won't even believe me, but I swear to God, it's true. So because she was in the fan club, like they basically opened the gates like a running of the bulls inside of like the bowels of Madison Square Garden, and you ran to get to as far forward as you could in the mosh pit.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm broken down and need an epidural and it's over. But at the time, I was 21 and in pretty good shape, and I was like, I'm going to truck these mother, you know what? Like we run in, and I was landing Derrick Henry level stiff arms on fools to get like, I mean, kids are just going into the wall, right? Like, boom, boom. We get to the first row of this thing. Like we got into it was in the corner, but we got to the actual bike racks. Like we're right up against the stage. The postscript to this, but not the main part of the story. My sister actually got pulled up on stage by Green Day, and they had her as part of the show, which was awesome. It's actually on YouTube. It was awesome. I remember she was like, "How do I get back to you?" I'm like, who cares? Just like go. I'll find you later. I told her. Yeah, right. They brought her back. But it was awesome. She had to go out there. She got to meet Billy Joe Armstrong. She was in heaven. So the warm-up band that night was the Kaiser Chiefs.
Okay, yeah.
I got nothing against the Kaiser Chiefs. Like, I don't really care for them, but I don't dislike them either.
Yeah.
They play this set, and there is a guy about, I don't know, 20 rows deep in the mosh pit who spent 40 straight minutes yelling, "You suck!" at the Kaiser Chiefs. Just 40 straight minutes. Never relented. And at one point, the Kaiser Chiefs like stopped. They're like, "You fucking suck." And then this guy's like, "You suck more. You suck." You know, it was unbelievable. And I'm like, there's nowhere else in the world that this happens.
Right.
Like this guy paid money, is about to see 3 hours of Green Day in their middle of the, like, well, I'm pretty sure it was like their American Idiot tour. Not to go back, maybe it's a tour out, but like a huge band. This guy's been 40 minutes screaming, "You suck" at the Kaiser Chiefs nonstop, being egged on by everybody around them. It's like, you think you'd be in a good mood, like it's 10 rows back, it's Green Day and MSG. No, furious. I think that's the same energy that's about to happen at Coldplay, but with 80,000 people at MetLife Stadium.
It's perfect. I cannot wait for that to happen, for them to be booed as they play. Also, I was watching, speaking of halftime shows, I was watching the Stadium Series game at the Horseshoe.
Oh, yeah.
With the Blue Jackets. Yeah. Awful no call at the end of the game, by the way. That was definitely a high stick. But anyway, they had 21 pilots at the intermission. I was like, wait, what is going on?
They're alive.
I was like, what's going on? There's not 21 of them. There's only 2.
Why not just try out like REO Speedwagon and call it a day?
Yeah. Then I started thinking, like, what bands could you throw out there for like hockey, like hockey fans? I'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's
5 for Fighting. It's the easiest call in the world.
Yep.
Just the name alone, or any Canadian band.
Right.
Here's Rush. Awesome. Bring them in.
Like Nickelback. Actually,
I don't know.
Look, Matt, I might be going to a
Canadian DJ, angry people. They might take that as an affront.
They might boo them.
I understand. I love, by the way, that McAfee had to like walk back what he said about like Canada,
Yeah.
and then Olbermann was like, fire him. What is going on? Like, how about this? I go back to not caring about any of this, and I just watch a hockey game. How about that?
Right.
Like,
Would
how
that-
about that? Like, I
would
just
that-
watch
would that
hockey.
be-
No, I don't give a shit. Like, about any of this.
You're telling me Keith Olbermann had a really intense take about something? I'm shocked.
And like, the best part was literally the tweet was like, fire him. Like, okay. Like, I don't think Pat McAfee's meant to be taken seriously with every single thing that he says. Like, I'm not even a big McAfee guy, but
That's the thing with Pat McAfee.
you know he's not like ultra serious here. Like,
Correct.
you know, like it's different if like the governor of New Jersey says it. Like, okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
It's Pat McAfee.
I like to think I'm in a similar vein of like people definitely shouldn't take anything I say very seriously. Like that's kind of how I want people to be,
I'm
right? Like
Idiot.
yeah,
Like, unless I'm prefacing it, like, and I'm making it clear it's a report.
yes.
In fact, let me amend this. If it's about like real nuts and bolts football, take me seriously. If it's about my opinion on like the Jets and the hilarity that is the Jets, understand that like 80% of it's serious and 20% of it is me just dumping on the Jets because it's funny.
Yes.
It's fine. It's fine.
There you go. That's the show. In a little nice little succinct little nutshell. Don't take us too seriously, but when we do talk about football, do take it seriously. That's gonna do it for that football show here on KC Sports Network. Thanks to Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon Holiday Distillery for making this show possible. We'll be back later on the week on Saturday. Matt, I've got an idea for our Saturday shows. I'll talk to you later about it. I think it could be a good idea that we can do on the back half of a show in the off season that can really get us going and really get the people talking. So that's going to do it. Make sure to stay tuned, subscribe so you can get that video. We'll be back later this week to talk more football on that football show.